Welcome to Wanderlust and Wishes, the podcast where we explore the world one destination at a time.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Krystle.
As travel agents with fantastical vacations, we are here to share our passion for travel and help you turn your wanderlust into reality.
From hidden gems to bucket list adventures, join us as we dive into the sights, sounds, and stories of our favorite destinations.
So grab your passport, pack your bags, and let's embark on this journey together. Welcome to Wanderlust and Wishes. We're going to do a bonus episode on Kennedy Space Center. Krystle was able to go to Orlando recently, not Walt Disney World related, and she was able to visit the Kennedy Space Center with her family. So we're going to talk about that today. Okay, we're going to start out with just a quick intro to the Kennedy Space Center and what it's all about. So you want to give us a little background, Krystle?
Yes, so the Kennedy Space Center is located on Merritt Island in Florida. I would say it's probably about 45 minutes to an hour away from Orlando. They just call that whole area the Space Coast. So right there near Port Canaveral. So if you've cruised out of there, it's probably 10, 15 minutes from the port is all. So it's NASA's primary launch site for human spaceflight, as well as just like SpaceX has a spot there. There's a new site going in for Jeff Bezos. Is it Jeff Bezos? The Amazon guys space program. It's all right there on the same complex. So it's famous for launching the Apollo moon missions and space shuttle flights. The center also serves as like a public space attraction with exhibits and tours. So it's been on our list for a while, and we finally just had time and made a day of it. For spring break, we went down and stayed with some friends, and our friend's son actually used to work at the Kennedy, like for NASA. So she had some really great insider tips for us. And so we took grandma and grandpa, and then John and I and our three kids. So our kids are 3, 6, and 9. We did take a small umbrella stroller for Reese, our youngest, but Harper was fine without it. She usually rides in the stroller for Disney, just to give you perspective, but she was fine here.
What was your first impression when you got there, and just how was the experience getting there and getting into where the exhibits were and all of that stuff?
Arrival was super simple. There's only like one way in and out. GPS is very accurate. It takes you right where you need to be. We plan to be there right before 9 for opening. You do go through like a kind of like a toll type thing to pay for parking. It was $15, but I feel like we thought that was cheap because we're paying $25, $30 to park at the local NHL game. So $15 was great.
Right.
There were people directing traffic, and we actually parked like super close, like 3 rows back from the front. So it's not like a big, long, drawn out, like a Disney parking lot. Walking up there, probably about like a dozen kiosks that you can get tickets from. So if you're walking up kind of to your right, or you can get them online ahead of time. And then just to kind of give you like a picture, security and gates are on your left. And then there's kind of like a will call kind of back behind security, just kind of straight ahead. So if you have like a military or a teacher ID, you can go to will call and they can get you discounted tickets, which is
Nice.
great. Yeah, any kind of discount.
Do you think you were able to park close by because you were there early? Did you notice that it kind of got a little bit more crowded?
I wondered about the crowd. We were there during kind of spring break time. There were a handful of different school groups there. So there, like a lot of the crowd was from buses with like kids and chaperones. And it also could have just been because we were there early. It didn't seem like it was like when we left though, that it was like overly packed. I don't think it's like as like super just like a everyday destination that people are like flocking to.
Right.
So that was nice. There was a bit of a line to go through security when we arrived, but it went super quick just because they hadn't even opened yet. You do go through metal detectors and they are searching bags. If you've ever done theme park security, this seems like a breeze. John had the stroller and went right through. They did pull me in my bag, which I was expecting, but I was back with the group before we scanned our tickets, and that was like 10 feet from the security, like the metal detector. So it was like a very quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. After we got in, we grabbed some maps at the entrance, but they also have an app that I found super helpful. It'll give you exact directions from where you are to where you're trying to go, like walking with like a time. So it's like from where you're at to where you need to be will be 3 minutes, and here is the exact route you need to take, which since I'd never been there and I wasn't familiar with it, I really liked that. And then I also liked that you could set showtime reminders. There are a lot of like shows, but you kind of need to just kind of glance and be like, make a priority of like two or three because some only have two or three showings throughout the day. So it's like,
Right.
which one do you want to like, what is your priority? If this is the one you want most, maybe you need to make sure you're in this area at noon kind of thing.
Yeah. That's interesting that they have such a great app. I mean,
Yeah, it's better than Universal's.
I was going to say that's immediately what I thought of. I was like, I struggle so much with the Universal app, and I wish that they would make it a little bit better. It's not super user friendly, so the fact that Kennedy Space Center has a better app, that's funny.
One thing that we used it for a lot was just like searching restroom and then using it as like a walking, like a map to walk to the nearest restroom because it's not like this place is huge, but it's not small either. And not every building has like a restroom.
Mhm.
And with toddlers they don't give you any notice.
Yeah.
There are only a handful of bathrooms around. So I use that quite often. And I will say right inside the front door, there's a Starbucks. So if you wanted
Ooh,
your Starbucks,
yeah, yeah.
I thought of you when I walked by and I said, oh, Julie would appreciate this.
What were the different exhibits and experiences that you did? And did you have any particular favorites out of the ones that you experienced?
Maybe I'll just kind of do like a rundown of what we did. There is so much to do that we didn't see everything going into it. We're like, we've had friends that go and people like told John, oh, yeah, I could have spent 2 days there. So we went into it knowing like we needed to kind of prioritize what we wanted to do and see and keeping in mind like the kids' energy and hangriness. As soon as we got through security, the Gateway building was on our list first. And this was a tip from our friends that live close. There are like kind of like a few like simulator rides in there that I'd compare to Soarin'. They're a lot shorter. It's called Spaceport, but the lines get stupid long during the day. So we essentially rope drop that. Once you go into the Gateway building, you go up the ramp and the stairs, and it's like on the mezzanine on the second level for the ride. I felt like as soon as we got through security, once you go in, there's kind of like to your left, there's like a Heroes and Legends building, and there's a bunch of rockets. They call it the Rocket Garden. And then the Starbucks is on your right hand side. And if you just keep going to the Gateway building, it's just kind of straight back. But everybody kind of just stopped at the first couple of buildings right there at the beginning as soon as you got through the ticket and security. So when you first got in, it felt very crowded. So we just kind of bypassed all that and said, we'll do this on the way out, which I'm glad we did it that way because we kind of went opposite of how everybody else went. So it wasn't as busy as
Yeah.
it could have felt. So we went to go do that ride, and you have to be 44 inches tall to do the ride. And so my mother-in-law just kind of explored the exhibits with Reese while the rest of us did it. They do tell you to wait to like expect 30 minutes for this. And then they had two of the four choices running. They had one called Red Planet, which is about Mars and Jupiter, and then one called Cosmic Wonder, which was about stars and nebula. We did the Red Planet. I did notice that there was like a rider switch door, but I didn't ask her. We didn't use it. She didn't feel like she needed to go back and watch it, but it was kind of cool to feel like you were flying and landing on Mars. And I would say that was probably like a 5 to 10 minute ride. Like it was not as long as Soarin',
Yeah.
but
It was still a
it
good
was cool.
experience. Yeah.
I will say that overall, I felt that Kennedy did a very good job of, there were lots of like shows and videos and things to tell the experience as opposed to you just having to read like plaques and stuff. So even my kids felt like they got a lot out of it because there's like a new movie around every corner.
Yeah.
So after we did the Gateway building, we headed to the bus tour. The buses take you to the Apollo and the Saturn V Center. They go past active launch sites and the big assembly building that has the flag and the big NASA that you see on TV. It's like huge stories tall. The drivers, I felt that they were very knowledgeable, and it was about a 10-minute ride. So they just kind of like talked you through, like, here on your left, you'll see this. And hey, look on the right and see those bald eagles. This is the story with them. And hey, look, there's an alligator. And the bus ride was entertaining. And you're
Right.
just kind of like going from point A to point B. So when you do get on the bus, you have to leave your stroller there. Obviously, you don't take it on the bus with you. But to my surprise, they did have a couple loners when you got off the bus at the other space. That was nice. As soon as you get off the bus, they kind of usher you into another video show that talks about the Apollo and like this kind of basically how we got our start in space and the astronauts that like started it all and kind of some of their stories. So you watch that video and then you go into another room where it is basically like a control center during the first couple Apollo launches,
Okay.
which
That's neat.
yeah, they like shine lights on like the different controls as they're like the recording of what they're seeing and like what they're doing. And so it's like you're there. And then it like even starts rattling after liftoff, like what, even though they were miles away, like what they were feeling when that first rocket went off. So that was cool. After that, you're kind of ushered into like the main building. There's like a big rocket hanging from the ceiling. There's a couple of different like exhibits around. There's like a thing about the evolution of spacesuits, which was very interesting to like see. They did have a lunch place over here that we grabbed some food because I was like, since we're kind of out of the way, let's do it here instead of going back right at noon where everybody's trying to get lunch, like the food court thing. They did have some good food. I had a BLT on a pretzel. Harper had like a really good quesadilla. My in-laws, they had like a French dip, chicken Caesar salad. So it wasn't just like your typical.
Yeah, that sounds good.
There was even a food truck outside, and John got some sort of like po' boy Cajun situation. So my one fault is they're Pepsi people. So pack your Diet Coke if you're going and you need Diet Coke.
Oh gosh, Diet Pepsi is so cringy and gross.
Ugh. But
Sorry,
yeah,
Pepsi people.
as far as prices, I'd say it would be comparable to Disney prices.
The
Like
food.
it was what I expected. It's not as like cheap as McDonald's, but it's not like super outrageous. But the kids' meals, they did come with like a drink and a go-gurt. So there's like, and the portions were large. So we didn't leave hungry. Before we left to get back on the bus, there is a small gift shop there. Anything Apollo specific is only found at that gift shop. So I did worry about that. John's like, let's just get it all at the end. So I asked someone and she's like, if you want anything Apollo specific, get it here because you're not going to find it anywhere else. And because I really wanted, they had Snoopy in a spacesuit astronaut pin. So I got that there just in case I didn't see it anywhere else because I did see the stuffy version somewhere else, but I didn't ever see the pins again. So I was glad that I got that. With lunch and the bus to and from, we were probably over there about an hour and a half for the tour. So if you're wondering how long it's going to take, once we got back to the main campus, we were in search of Planet Play. We'd heard about this from our friends, and she said it was her granddaughter's like favorite spot. It is a 3-story tall indoor play place, kind of dark with like neon lights and air conditioned, and just it was a good thing to blow off some steam for the kids, give them like
Yeah.
a minute to run. They had a slide between two of the floors, like that even I went on. So it's available for all ages, I guess I would say. One of the coolest things I liked in there is that they had in one of the corners, they had where you could color your own satellite and then you go scan it and it shows big on the screen like you launched it into space. And adults and kids alike, we all got a kick out of this because we could design our own
Oh, that's so cute.
satellite. And then all of a sudden it's like big and floating on this big screen.
Oh, that's funny.
They were limiting time to about 30 minutes in here. Not sure if that's always the case or if it's just because it was spring break in the middle of the day. But 30 minutes was plenty for us. We did spend a minute trying to round up my older kids because with 3 stories and there's a lot of climbing things, they kept seeming to like bounce between floors and we're like trying to track them down.
Conveniently not hear you when you told them that they needed to come.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Next on our list was one of the shows that we really wanted to see. It was called Mission Status Briefing. And when we went in, I was like, this is the biggest mistake. This guy is such a nerd. And I thought it was going to be like some college lecture where it's just like monotone and like boring. But it actually was one of my most favorite things that we did. It was extremely interesting and very informative. It's all about what's currently happening. And he told us about like what it costs people to rent a launch pad right now every month, like the price of that, and like what's going on with SpaceX and with other companies and different countries and different missions that are in the works or things that are just happening because they just talked about like he was talking about like the two astronauts that they just brought home
Yeah.
because that just happened recently. And then he was telling us like the launch schedule. And a couple of days later, he's like, so this launch is going off from this launch pad at this date and time. And this is going to be satellites. And then the next day is going to be manned mission. And it was, they were doing circulating the poles instead of the equator. So it was like the first time a man has gone north south.
Yeah.
So just like different things, it was very fascinating. And I had to leave in a little bit because I had a child that needed to go to the restroom. And I was kind of bummed because I didn't get to hear the end of it. So next we went over to the Journey to Mars building. And there was also a little show in here where it's basically a guy on the stage with like a giant iPad behind him. But he was so into it and he was so knowledgeable. And my kids were like zoned in the whole time. It was like things about Mars and our plans to go to Mars and things that we've already done. And then in the building, there's like a Mars rover. There's like simulators where you can try to land on Mars. And I like going into Kennedy, I was like, this is so nerdy and I'm not going to have an interest in any of this. But it was so interactive. And the people that worked there were so genuinely just interesting and into it that it just made
Very
it so
passionate
fun.
about it.
Yes. So we did the thing at Mars, and then right outside this building is like the major gift shop. So we did that for a minute, and at this time it's about 2:30. So we got there by 9, and I felt like we were at like a pretty steady pace. We didn't stop to see everything, but like we were still taking quite a bit of time. We did souvenirs, and then I had to take a work call, so everybody else kind of grabbed like there was like a tro cart outside, kind of sat on some tables in the shade and just took a breather for a minute. And then after our snack, we kind of headed back meandering back towards the front where they had like, we walked through the rocket garden and then we wanted to finish with the Heroes and Legends building. It's kind of like the Astronaut Hall of Fame. And we did not realize that as soon as you walk in, there's a show talking about heroes and legends. And then you're ushered into another show. That one made my mother-in-law a little bit sick because she had to get some motion sickness. And it was like a floor to 6 foot ceiling of like this massive screen and you're flying through space. And
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to do that without a Dramamine.
so she's like, yeah, I closed my eyes almost to that. So like I wondered. And then that was kind of the end of our day. And we were walking out of there and it was like 4 o'clock. We did a lot. We didn't do everything, but it still took most of our day. But by this time, John and I were just kind of like, I don't know if there's anything else we'd want to see. There was one building that we didn't see the big ship right when we got off the bus. But the kids were like so antsy that we're like, let's get to the play place and let them run off some steam. So
Sounded really fun.
it was really fun. There was supposed to be a rocket launch on Saturday, the satellites, but it got canceled because of weather. And it ended up going Sunday afternoon, maybe. They just pushed it 24 hours. And then that night, we also got to watch the manned launch at night. So we were about 45 minutes away, but we could see it go. We could feel them and hear it like delayed sound. So if you are in the area, I would definitely look up the schedule because it is so neat to see.
Yeah, my dad loves stuff like that. He would love to see the launches. And I know he loves the Kennedy Space Center, just period. He loves to go.
Has he been there?
Mm-hmm.
Say if not, you need to take him. I think this would be like the perfect either like cruise or post cruise like experience. Like if you fly in early and have the day, I would go and do it. Or like if you get off the cruise ship early and your flight's not till the afternoon, definitely like this is the great thing to fill your day.
Is there anything that you would do differently? And from a kind of preparing to be there, like packing a bag, that kind of thing, just preparing yourself, would you do something? Would you have brought something more than you did?
I probably could have Googled it, but I didn't know if we could bring snacks and stuff in. I probably would have brought more, like a water bottle, like more drinks, and just had like maybe a bigger backpack of some snacks. The kids did really good of not whining that they were hungry, but I did buy 2 Diet Pepsis because I was thirsty and I needed some cold and I needed some caffeine. And for me to say I bought 2 Diet Pepsis, that's saying something.
You were really thirsty.
Yes.
That sounds like your kids were engaged the entire time. Like they probably didn't complain and whine because they were so interested in whatever it was that was going on, you know?
Yeah, I was worried. I knew Calder would eat it up. I was a little bit worried about Harper because she tends to get whiny. And then Reese, just because she's young. Like I said earlier, I felt like they did such a good job with the videos and keeping your attention that nothing ever felt like drawn out and too long. If it did, it was probably just us meandering where they're like, okay, we've seen enough statues. Can we like keep walking?
I think
But
there was a
yeah,
lot of adults that do that too.
yes, yes,
It sounds to me like you would go back and would recommend it for others. Like you
yes,
said, kind
most
of
definitely.
definitely for like a a pre cruise trip if you have an extra day or you have a, extra time to do that before
Yes.
or after.
Yeah. Is it a place that I would get like a yearly membership if I lived there? Probably not. I would probably go yearly, like especially if we had like a cruise on the docket, like it would be something that we would do. I know tickets are a bit pricey, but I've seen like promos and deals out there if you just kind of look around. So I think that would be like the biggest deterrent.
It sounds though like it is appropriate for the amount of things that they
Hmm.
have. It's not like you're paying that and there's, 2 exhibits and you are there for 30 minutes or an hour. You were there all day and you feel like there were some things that you probably could have spent more time on.
Yes, for sure. And you definitely are getting what you paid for. Like they're doing a good job. It's like I don't feel like you would feel disappointed, like walking away and being like, I didn't get my money's worth.
That's awesome. It honestly, I've been there before, but it was like I think when I was in like the 4th grade. So I probably could go again. I'll probably do another visit since it's been a while since I've been in the 4th grade. I mean, I can say that your description of everything that it has makes it much more interesting to me, or makes it something that I would want to go do if I were close enough and we had the opportunity to go.
I didn't know what to expect, and I was wondering if I was going to be bored and wanting to move on quickly, but I myself was extremely entertained. And bonus, if you have kids and you're taking them out of school, this is a great way to get like the school excuse for them
Yeah,
while you're on
education.
vacation because it's very educational. So,
So you don't have to be like a space nerd to
no, no,
be
that,
to have a good time.
no. All of the adults in the group, none of us, I would say, are space nerds or actively involved in what's going on in the space world. And we all were very impressed and like, wow, did you know that was going on? Or wow, did you know? And there's like just like a lot of wows and just excitement about it. And as 4 grown adults, we would all go back.
Awesome. Well, I feel like that kind of wraps up our bonus episode. I hope that everyone has enjoyed this. I definitely did. I'm excited, actually. We're going on a cruise in October, and I feel like this might be something we should add to
Yes, for
the
sure.
trip. I hope everybody has a good week. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Wanderlust and Wishes.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And remember, the world is full of wonders waiting to be explored. Until next time, happy travels.
Bye for now.